I lay in that cold hospital bed, tubes snaking into my arms and a ventilator humming steadily, keeping me alive after the massive stroke 2 weeks ago. At 68, I'd always been the tough guy, the factory worker who never missed a shift. But now I couldn't even twitch a finger. My body was frozen, but my mind was crystal clear, trapping me in this nightmare where I heard every whisper, every footstep in the room. Welcome to Brian's Stories. I share new life stories here every day, and I'd really appreciate it if you hit subscribe and like my video. Drop a comment down below telling me where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. I read every single comment, and it helps me to know I'm not alone in this. I'd raised Sophia alone after her mom died of cancer when she was just 10. Those early years were brutal. I'd come home exhausted from the assembly line, scraping together meals from canned goods, making sure she had clean clothes for school. "Daddy, why don't we have a big house like Jenny's?" she'd ask, her little eyes wide. I'd hug her tight and say, "Because we're building something better, memories." I skipped vacations, worked overtime, even pawned my wedding ring once to cover her braces. Last year, luck finally smiled on me with that $2 million lottery win. I stashed the ticket in a safe deposit box, dreaming of the day I'd hand it over. Watch her face light up. "This is for you, kiddo," I'd planned to say. For all the times I said no. But that night, as shadows danced on the walls from the hallway light, Sophia slipped in with Jason, her husband of 5 years. They thought I was out cold. "He's not coming back, Jason," she whispered, her voice sharp like a knife. "The doctor said it's hopeless. And that lottery ticket, it's sitting there in his safe deposit box. $2 million. Once he's gone, it's mine. Ours. We can pay off the debts, start over." Jason paced, his shoes squeaking on the tile. "How do you even know about it? You sure he didn't tell anyone else?" "I found the claim stub when I was going through his stuff after the stroke," she replied, leaning closer to my bed. "He hid it well, but not from me. Pull the plug now and it's natural causes. No questions." My heart slammed against my ribs, but I couldn't move, couldn't scream. Betrayal burned through me like acid. This was my girl, the one I'd sacrificed everything for. Flashes hit me. Her first bike, paid for with extra shifts. Her wedding, where I walked her down the aisle, tears in my eyes. "I love you, Dad," she'd said then. Now, her hand hovered near the machine's cord. "Do it quick," Jason urged. The shock paralyzed me more than the stroke ever could. How had greed twisted her like this? I fought to stay conscious, mind racing for a way out. If I could just signal someone, Robert, my old neighbor, he'd believe me. I wasn't dying tonight, not like this. Not until she paid for shattering my world. The shock hit me like a freight train, my mind reeling as Sophia's words echoed in my ears. "Dad's gone anyway. The lottery ticket is mine now." How could she say that? My own flesh and blood, the girl I'd given everything to, ready to end my life for a pile of cash. I lay there, staring at the ceiling tiles, the ventilator pushing air into my lungs while my thoughts spun out of control. Flashes of our life together crashed through my head, her as a little kid, clinging to me after her mom's funeral, her tiny hand in mine as we walked home from the cemetery. I remembered those early days so clearly, even through the haze of the stroke. Sophia was 10 when cancer took my wife, leaving me to juggle factory shifts and parenthood alone. "Daddy, why did Mommy have to go?" she'd ask, tears streaming down her face as I tucked her in at night. I'd hold her close, whispering, "I don't know, sweetie, but we'll get through this together." I cut back on everything, beer with the guys, new clothes for myself, just to keep the lights on and food on the table. Factory work paid the bills, but it was backbreaking. And I saved every extra dime in a jar under the sink, dreaming of a better future for her. As the minutes ticked by in that hospital room, my heart ached with the weight of it all. Sophia grew into a teenager, rebellious and full of fire. She'd slam doors after arguments about money. "You're so cheap, Dad. All my friends have cell phones and nice clothes. Why can't we?" she'd yell, storming out to hang with her crowd. I tried to explain. "Soph, I'm saving for your college, for emergencies. We don't need fancy stuff to be happy." But she rolled her eyes, muttering under her breath. Looking back, those were the first cracks, the resentment building like rust on old pipes. I thought it was just hormones, that she'd outgrow it once she saw how hard life could be. Then came Jason 5 years ago. She met him at some sales conference, and they hit it off fast. "Dad, he's ambitious. He's got big plans," she'd gush over dinner, her eyes lighting up. I nodded, trying to be supportive, but Jason rubbed me the wrong way from the start. He was always talking about quick, rich schemes, flashing his watch like it meant something. "Pops, you gotta invest smarter," he'd say with that slick grin. "Savings accounts are for suckers. Let me hook you up with some opportunities." I brushed him off, sticking to my frugal ways, but I footed their wedding bill anyway, dipping into my nest egg because Sophia begged. "Please, Dad, it's my special day." How could I say no? Lying there helpless, it all pieced together in my mind. The lottery win last year, I'd kept it secret, stashing the ticket in that safe deposit box at the bank. I planned to tell her eventually, maybe on her birthday, to help with a house or whatever she needed. But while I was unconscious after the stroke, she must have snooped around the house. Maybe she found the bank statements or the claim stub I'd hidden in my desk drawer. How else would she know, I thought, panic rising. Jason probably egged her on with their debts piling up from his bad investments. I'd overheard them arguing about money during visits before the stroke. Whispers about maxed cards and late bills. The betrayal cut deep, twisting like a knife in my gut. All those sacrifices. The lonely nights after work. Skipping my own dreams so she could have hers. And this was how it ended. Me, paralyzed on a bed, listening to her plot my death. "We can't wait," she'd whispered to Jason earlier, her voice cold. I wanted to scream, to grab her by the shoulders and ask why, but my body wouldn't move, trapping the rage inside. Desperation kicked in as I heard footsteps in the hall. A nurse was passing by, maybe my only chance. I focused every bit of strength I had, forcing air through my vocal cords. A faint groan escaped, weak but there, like a rasp from the grave. The door creaked open, and the nurse poked her head in. "Mr. Harlan, you okay in here?" she asked, her voice concerned as she stepped closer. Sophia jumped back from the bed, her face paling. "Oh, yeah. He just made a sound," she stammered, forcing a smile. "Maybe he's trying to wake up. Jason, did you hear that?" Jason shifted uncomfortably by the window. "Yeah, sounded like a groan. Think he's in pain or something?" The nurse checked my monitors, adjusting the IV drip. "Could be. His vitals are stable, but strokes can cause all sorts of responses. I'll note it in the chart and let the doctor know." She glanced at Sophia. "You two been here long? Family time is good, but he needs rest." Sophia nodded quickly, tucking her hair behind her ear. "Of course, we're just worried about him. Dad's tough, right? He'll pull through." But her eyes darted to Jason, a silent warning passing between them. As the nurse left, closing the door softly, Sophia leaned in close to me again, her breath hot on my face. "That was close," she hissed under her breath, thinking I couldn't hear. "We have to be careful. If he makes noise like that again, someone might think he's improving." Jason rubbed his chin. "Maybe we wait a day or two. Let the docs declare him brain dead or something official." "No," Sophia snapped quietly. "The longer we wait, the more chance he wakes up and blabs about the ticket. We handle this tomorrow night when the shift changes, fewer staff around." Their words fueled my resolve, pushing back the despair. I wasn't gone yet. Robert, my old neighbor, visited every day around noon. If I could hold on until then, signal him somehow, tell him what I'd heard, he'd believe me. He'd check the house, the cameras I installed last year after a break-in scare. There might be footage of her snooping. The room grew quiet as they gathered their things to leave. "A night, Dad," Sophia said loudly for show, planting a fake kiss on my forehead. "Love you." Jason mumbled something similar, and they slipped out, the door clicking shut. Alone with the machines, I let the tears come, silent and hot down my cheeks. The pain of her betrayal was worse than the stroke, shattering the illusion of our family. But I clung to that spark of fight. She thought I was helpless, but my mind was my weapon. I'd piece this together, expose her before she could try again. Tomorrow, with Robert's help, the tide would turn. I just had to survive the night. The morning light filtered through the hospital blinds, casting stripes across my bed as I waited for Robert to show up like he always did around noon. My body still wouldn't cooperate, But that groan last night had given me a sliver of hope. I could make sounds now, even if they were weak and raspy. The nurses had checked on me more often since then, poking their heads in every hour or so. But I kept my eyes half closed, pretending to be out of it while my mind raced ahead. Robert had been my neighbor for over 20 years, ever since I moved into the old house after my wife's death. And he'd become like a brother to me, always stopping by with coffee or tools to fix something. If anyone would listen without judging, it was him. The door creaked open right on time, and Robert shuffled in, carrying a paper bag that smelled like fresh donuts from the bakery down the street. "Hey, old man," he said in his gruff voice, setting the bag on the side table. "Brought you some treats, even if you can't eat 'em yet. Docs say you're stable, but you look like hell. Anything I can do?" I focused hard, pushing air through my throat again, managing a hoarse whisper this time. "Rob, I rasped, my voice barely above a breath. His eyes widened, and he leaned in close, his bushy eyebrows knitting together. "Whoa, Harlan, that you talking? Nurse said you groaned last night, but this is new. What is it, buddy? You need water or something?" I shook my head as much as I could, which wasn't much, and whispered again. "Soph. Aya. Heard her. Lottery. Pull plug." Robert pulled up a chair, scraping it across the floor, and sat down heavy, his face going serious. "Slow down, Harlan. Sophia? What about her? And lottery. What lottery? You hit it big and didn't tell me?" I took a shallow breath, the ventilator helping, and forced out more words. "Last year, 2 mil, hidden. She knows." Whispered to Jason. "Dad's gone, ticket mine." Tried to unplug. He sat back, rubbing his chin, looking at me like I'd lost it. But then his expression shifted to concern. "Jesus, Harlan. That's heavy. You sure you didn't dream it? Strokes can mess with your head, right?" I groaned louder, frustrated, and whispered urgently. "No dream. Heard clear. Snooped house. Check cameras. Installed last year. Footage drawers." Robert nodded slowly, glancing at the door to make sure no one was listening. All right. Those security cams you put in after that neighborhood break-in? Yeah, I remember helping you set them up. They record to your cloud account, right? I can log in from my phone if you give me the password." I rasped it out, letter by letter, my throat burning with the effort. "PASSWORD, Sophia 10. He chuckled a bit despite the situation. "Your daughter's birthday? Classic. Okay, give me a sec." He pulled out his phone, tapping away, and I watched his face as he logged in and scrolled through the feeds. The room was quiet, except for the beeps, and my heart pounded, waiting for him to confirm what I already knew. After a minute, Robert's eyes narrowed at the screen. "Holy crap, Harlan. Here's footage from 4 days after your stroke. Sophia's in your living room, going through your desk drawers like she's on a mission. Jason's there, too, standing watch by the window. She's pulling out papers, bank statements. Wait. She's holding what looks like a lottery claim stub. Smiles big, shows it to him. They high-five, then stuff it back and leave." I felt a rush of vindication mixed with fresh pain, whispering hoarsely. "See? Nose ticket. Safe deposit box. Plan kill me. Debt's bad." Robert pocketed his phone, leaning in closer. "Yeah, this looks suspicious as hell. I know they've been struggling. Jason's always talking about his failed stock picks when I run into him. But pulling your plug? That's attempted murder territory. What do you want me to do? Call the cops?" I thought fast, my mind sharper now with the adrenaline. "Not yet. More proof. Listen her. Record. Phone app." He nodded, pulling out his phone again. "Smart. I got a voice recorder app. But how? She visits later today, right? Hide phone, bedside, turn on, catch whispers." Robert fiddled with his device, setting it up discreetly under the edge of my blanket near the table. "All right, it's on now, but battery might die. I'll come back tonight to grab it. In the meantime, I can swing by your house, check if anything's missing. You got keys?" I whispered the location. "Under mat. Front door. Checkbox logs. Bank. On it," he said, standing up. "Hang in there, Harlan. I'll dig quiet-like. No alerting her yet. If she's desperate enough for this, who knows what she'd do if cornered." Just then, the doctor walked in for rounds, a middle-aged guy with a clipboard and a tired smile. Mr. Harlan, good to see you alert. Nurses mentioned vocalizations, progress? Robert stepped back, playing it casual. Yeah, Doc, he whispered a bit. Said my name. That's good, right? The doctor checked my chart, shining a light in my eyes. Very encouraging, but we need to monitor closely. Your condition could worsen without more intervention, maybe therapy soon if you stabilize. I groaned softly and the doc nodded. Try to rest. Family visits help, but not too much stress. As he left, Robert squeezed my hand. See? You're fighting back. I'll text you updates. Wait, your phone's here, right? I'll set it to vibrate. He adjusted my cell on the table, out of sight. There. Now about that donut, I'll eat it for you. He winked, but his eyes were serious. We'll nail this, Harlan. She's not getting away with it. The afternoon dragged after he left, nurses coming and going, but my fear built as visiting hours approached. Sophia showed up around 3, alone this time, carrying flowers that looked cheap from the gift shop. Hey, Dad, she said brightly, arranging them in a vase. How you feeling? Nurses said you made sounds. That's amazing. I stayed still, eyes half open, but whispered faintly. Soph, Her face lit up, but I saw the flicker of worry. Dad. Oh my God, you're talking. What did you say? Love, you, I rasped, testing her, the hidden recorder catching every word. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I love you too, Dad, so much. Jason sends his love. He's at work. We're all pulling for you. I groaned again, pretending weakness. Ticket? Safe? She froze for a second, then laughed it off. Ticket? What ticket, Dad? You mean like bus ticket or something? You're confused from the meds. But her voice cracked a bit, and she glanced around the room. Rest now. Don't strain yourself. As she chatted about nothing, weather, her job, I watched her fidget, her eyes darting to the machines. The recorder was running, and I hoped it picked up her unease. When she left, kissing my forehead again, I felt a mix of sorrow and determination. Robert texted later. House secure. Found drawer messed up. Bank logs show she tried access but failed. Needs your ID. Footage solid. Coming back soon. My fear escalated as the doctor returned that evening, warning me privately. Mr. Harlan, your vitals dipped a bit today. Without better support, things could turn. We'll watch overnight. I nodded weakly, whispering to myself, Hold on. With Robert on it, we had the first clues, the footage confirming she knew about the ticket. But I needed more to expose her fully before she tried again. The pain of her betrayal fueled me, pushing me to fight from this bed. The next morning dragged on in that hospital room, the beeps from the machines a constant reminder that I was still hanging on by a thread. Robert showed up early, before the nurses finished their rounds, his face set in that determined way he got when fixing a leaky roof or helping me tune up my old truck. He pulled the chair close to my bed and leaned in, keeping his voice low. Harlan, I grabbed that recorder last night after visiting hours. You were right. She slipped up big time in there with you. I managed a weak nod, my whispers getting a bit stronger with practice. Play it. What'd she say? He glanced at the door, then hit play on his phone, turning the volume down. Sophia's voice came through, tinny but clear. Dad? Oh my God! You're talking. What did you say? Then my rasp. Love. You. Her response. I love you too, Dad. So much. But then the fidgeting sounds, and her muttering under her breath when she thought I couldn't hear. Damn, if he starts talking for real, we're screwed. Jason, we need to speed this up. No more waiting. It cut off there, but it was enough. Robert stopped the recording and shook his head. That's gold, Harlan. Admits worry about you talking. Combined with the footage, it's building a case. I felt a surge of rage mixed with that deep sorrow, like a punch to the gut. She my girl. How she turned this way. Need more. Debts, proof. Robert nodded, rubbing his hands together. I thought about that all night. You remember your sister, Margaret? The one you haven't talked to in years after that fight over your wife's estate? She's a retired lawyer, sharp as a tack. Lives about an hour away. I figured we need pro help here, someone who knows legal stuff. Elder abuse laws, all that. I called her this morning. Told her the basics without spilling everything. She's on her way. I groaned softly, memories flooding back. Margaret and I had fallen out a decade ago, arguing over how to handle the little inheritance from our parents after my wife passed. She wanted to invest it. I wanted to save it for Sophia, harsh words were said, and we stopped speaking. She come? After all this time? Yep, Robert said, checking his watch. Said family is family, especially if someone's trying to off you for money. Should be here soon. About half an hour later, the door opened, and there she was. Aunt Margaret, looking older, but still put together in her neat pantsuit, her gray hair pulled back tight. She hesitated in the doorway, her eyes meeting mine, and I saw a flash of regret there. Harlan, she said quietly, stepping in. Robert filled me in a bit on the phone. God, you look rough. But you're awake, that's something, I whispered hoarsely. Margaret, thanks coming. Need help? She nodded, pulling up another chair as Robert closed the door for privacy. Let's cut the small talk. We've got history, but right now, you're in trouble. Robert said something about Sophia plotting against you over a lottery win. Robert jumped in, showing her his phone. Here's the security footage from Harlan's house, 4 days post-stroke. Sophia and her husband Jason rummaging through his desk, finding a lottery claim stub. They celebrate like they hit the jackpot themselves. Margaret watched the video, her lips pressing into a thin line. Clear as day. Trespassing at minimum, but intent matters. And Harlan, you say she tried to unplug your life support? I rasped out the details. Heard her whisper. Dad's gone anyway. Ticket mine. Hand on plug. Grown nurse came. She jotted notes on a small pad she'd brought. Attempted harm, maybe, but we need more to make it stick. Robert mentioned a recording too? He played it for her, and Margaret's eyes narrowed. That's her voice, all right. Admits urgency to speed this up. Motive? Debts, I whispered. Jason, bad investments. Heard them argue money before stroke. Margaret leaned back, thinking. All right, I can pull some strings. As a retired lawyer, I still have access to public records, credit checks through old contacts. Give me their full names, addresses, I'll dig into Sophia and Jason's finances. If they're drowning in debt, that motivates the greed. Robert provided what he knew, and I added details from memory. House on Elm Street. Jason Work Sales, company called Apex Deals. She nodded, typing into her phone. I'll start with public databases, liens, bankruptcies, court filings. Won't take long. Harlan, you direct from here. What else? Bank logs, I said hoarsely. Safe deposit box, check access attempts. Margaret smiled faintly. Smart. I can request those as your representative if you authorize me. Got a form here. Whisper you're okay, and Robert can witness. I whispered my consent, and she filled it out quick. Done. Now feelings aside, Harlan, rage makes sense, but sorrow too. Sophia's your kid. This hurts. I felt tears prick my eyes. Raised her alone. Sacrificed everything. Now this. Robert patted my arm. We'll expose her before she tries again. Plan. I handle the house stuff. Keep an eye on her visits. Margaret digs finances and legal angles. Harlan, you keep whispering clues, stay alert. Margaret stood, pocketing her notes. I'll have preliminary financials by tonight. If debts are bad, it ties motive. We build this airtight footage, recording logs. Then we confront. As she headed out to make calls, Robert stayed a bit longer. You okay, buddy? Seeing Margaret after all this time? Strange, I whispered, but needed. Rage boiling. Sorrow too. Plan good. He nodded. We're alliances now. You, me, her. Like a team. Hang in, Harlan. The afternoon passed with nurses checking vitals, but my mind was on the dig. Margaret texted updates. Found public records. Jason has 2 liens on their car. Credit score in the tank. Digging deeper. By evening, she returned with Robert, her face grim. Got it. Sophia and Jason are in over $150,000 in debt. Bad stock picks. Loans for some failed business venture Jason pushed. Credit cards maxed. House payments late. Motive clear. Your $2 million lottery is their lifeline. I whispered fiercely. Knew it. Greed. Robert showed her the bank email he'd forwarded. Logs confirming Sophia tried to access the safe deposit box 3 days ago, using my name but lacking proper ID. Denied entry, but she tried. Margaret nodded. That's fraud attempt. With the footage and recording, we've got evidence of suspicious behavior, motive, and intent. Harlan, how you feeling about this? Expose her soon? Rage and sorrow, I rasped. But yes, before she tries again. We planned late into the visiting hours. Margaret would prep legal filings to block any power of attorney Sophia might claim. Robert would watch the house cams for more activity. I directed from the bed, feeling a mix of power and heartbreak. Watch her visits. She come tomorrow, record again. They agreed, and as they left, Margaret paused at the door. Harlan, I'm sorry about our fight years back. Should have reached out sooner. Forgiven, I whispered. Family now. Alone again, the sorrow hit hard my daughter, twisted by greed. But with allies, I had a shot. The rage fueled me. We'd expose her, protect what's mine. Hold on, I told myself. The fight's just starting. The days blurred together in that hospital room, with the machines beeping steadily and nurses coming in and out like clockwork. Robert and Margaret had been visiting more often now, sometimes together, sometimes separate, always keeping their voices low as we pieced together the plan to expose Sophia. I directed them from my bed, my whispers getting clearer each day, though my body still felt like dead weight. The evidence was stacking up, the footage, the recordings, the financial digs showing their massive debts, and it gave me a sense of control I hadn't felt since the stroke hit. But I knew Sophia wasn't dumb. She'd noticed the uptick in visitors soon enough. And sure enough, that afternoon she stormed in earlier than usual, her face twisted in suspicion. Dad, what's going on here? Sophia said as she burst through the door, her purse slung over her shoulder like a weapon. She stopped short when she saw Robert sitting by my bed, flipping through a magazine, and Margaret standing near the window, her notebook in hand. Uncle Robert? Aunt Margaret? What are you two doing here? I thought you and Dad hadn't spoken in years, Aunt Margaret. Margaret turned slowly, her expression calm but firm, like she was back in a courtroom. Sophia, good to see you too. Harlan asked me to come. Family matters, you know. Sophia crossed her arms, her eyes narrowing at me. I lay there, pretending to be weaker than I was, but I whispered hoarsely, Sophia, just talking. She ignored me at first, stepping closer to Robert. Talking about what? Dad's barely awake, and suddenly everyone's crowding in. Jason said he saw your car here yesterday too, Uncle Robert. If this is about his care, that's my job as his daughter. Robert set the magazine down, leaning back in his chair with a casual shrug. Hey kiddo, we're just checking on an old friend. Harlan's been whispering a bit more, said he wanted to catch up with Margaret. No big deal. No big deal. Sophia's voice rose, sharp enough to make a passing nurse glance in. Aunt Margaret shows up out of nowhere after a decade of silence. And it's no big deal. What? Are you here to stir up old fights or something? Dad doesn't need stress right now. Margaret pocketed her notebook, stepping forward. Sophia, relax. Harlan reached out through Robert. We're discussing his wishes, his assets, things family should talk about in times like this. Sophia's face flushed red, and she shot me a look that could kill. His wishes? What wishes? Dad, did you ask them here? Whisper if you can. I rasped out. Yes, family. She huffed, turning back to them. Fine, but this is my time with him. You two can leave now. I don't want him overstimulated. The doctor said rest is key. Robert stood up slowly, exchanging a quick glance with Margaret. All right, we're going. But Harlan, we'll be back tomorrow, okay? I nodded weakly, and they filed out, Margaret giving Sophia a pointed look on the way. Take care of him, Sophia. He's fragile. As the door clicked shut, Sophia waited a beat, then whirled on me, her voice dropping to a harsh whisper. Dad, what the hell? Why are they here? Are you telling them things? About money or whatever? I stayed silent at first, watching her pace the room like a caged animal. Robert had set up that hidden phone app again before they left, tucked under the blanket edge, recording everything. I knew I had to bait her, get her to slip up more. Sophia, I whispered. Ticket, you know. Her eyes went wide, and she leaned in close, her breath hot on my face. What? How do you, Dad? You're confused. There's no ticket. Must be the meds talking. But her hands shook as she adjusted my pillow roughly. Listen, if you're whispering to them about some fantasy lottery, stop it. You'll make yourself sound crazy. I pushed a little more. Heard you, plug. Jason. She froze, her face paling. Then she glanced around the room like someone might be listening. Shut up, Dad. You didn't hear anything. You were out cold. And if you keep this up, whispering nonsense, I'll make sure no one believes you. If by some miracle you survive this, I'll contest any will you try to change. Everything goes to me anyway. I'm your only kid. Don't make me fight you in court over delusions. I groaned softly, acting pained. But inside my heart raced. She was admitting pieces, circling the truth. Sophia straightened up, forcing a smile as the nurse knocked and entered to check my IV. He's doing okay? Sophia asked sweetly. The nurse nodded. Vitals steady. He's even vocalizing more, good sign. Yeah, great, Sophia said. But as soon as the nurse left, she leaned back in. See? You're improving a little, but don't get ideas. If you keep dragging Robert and Margaret into this, I'll tell the doctors you're hallucinating. Push for more sedatives. Let nature take its course, Dad. It's better that way, for everyone. The ticket? If there even is one, it's mine now. You hid it for me, right? So just rest. Her words hit like daggers, confirming everything, the intent, the knowledge, the threat. I whispered faintly, Why, Sophia? I gave you everything. She laughed bitterly, low and cold. Everything? You gave me scraps, Dad. Worked us poor while you hoarded savings. Jason and I are drowning in bills because of his business risks, and you sit on a fortune? No more. If you wake up fully, I'll make your life hell, lawsuits, guardianship, whatever it takes. I let my eyes close, pretending to drift off, but the app was catching it all. She sat there for a while, scrolling her phone, muttering to herself. Jason's right, we should have acted sooner. Now with them sniffing around. Eventually she stood, kissing my forehead for show. Get better, Dad, or don't. Love you. And she left, the door slamming a bit too hard. Alone, the threats echoed in my head, escalating the fear, but also my resolve. My own daughter, whispering about letting me die, contesting wills, pushing sedatives. The pain twisted deep. Years of love turned to this poison. But the recording would seal it. Robert texted later, Got alert app uploaded, listening now. Minutes passed then. Holy shit, Harlan. She admitted the ticket, the intent. Let nature take its course. That's code for murder. Margaret's looping it into the case. I whispered to myself in the dim room. Good. She's ramping up threats. Means she's scared. The next day, Sophia returned with Jason in tow, both of them eyeing the room like it was bugged. Dad, we need to talk, Jason said, pulling up a chair while Sophia stood guard by the door. I rasped. What? Sophia cut in. Robert and Margaret were here again this morning. I saw their cars in the lot. What are you telling them? If it's about money, stop. We're handling your affairs. Jason nodded, his slick smile gone. Yeah, Pops, we're family. Outsiders don't need to meddle. If you keep this up, we might have to limit visits for your health. Threats again bolder now, I whispered. Leave them alone. Sophia smirked. Or what? You're stuck here. Just sign over power of attorney when you're able. Make it easy. But the app was rolling, hidden fresh by Robert that morning. We know about the debts, I bluffed faintly, testing. Jason's face hardened. What debts? Who's feeding you lies? Sophia shushed him. Dad's rambling. But if you push, we'll push back harder. Court, doctors, whatever. They left after that, frustrated, but the recording captured the aggression. Margaret called later, her voice over the phone Robert held to my ear. Harlan, this is escalating. She's confronting us directly now. Means she's onto something. But the new recording, gold, admitting knowledge, threats to contest. We're ready to dive deeper. I whispered back. Good. She's desperate. Keep building. The threats kept coming, Sophia whispering alone later that evening. If you survive, I'll drag you through hell over that ticket. Better to go peaceful. Recorded, every word. The sorrow hit me in waves mixed with rage. My girl turned monster by greed. But with each threat, she dug her hole deeper. We had the alliances. Now the evidence was ironclad. Hold on, I thought. She's unraveling. The hospital room felt a little less like a prison that morning, with sunlight streaming in and my whispers turning into actual words. Even if they came out rough and slow, The doctors had adjusted my meds, and I could feel a tiny bit of strength coming back. Enough to lift my fingers a fraction. Robert showed up first, carrying a folder under his arm, and Margaret followed right behind him, her laptop in hand like she was ready for war. They closed the door quietly, and Robert pulled the curtains for extra privacy, making sure no one could peek in from the hall. "Harlan, we got some serious dirt overnight," Robert said, setting the folder on my tray table. "Margaret pulled strings with her old law firm contacts to get your bank records fast. No waiting around for subpoenas yet. We're keeping this under the radar." I nodded slowly, my voice scratchy but clearer. "Show me." "What'd she do?" Margaret opened her laptop, clicking through screens as she sat down. "First off, the safe deposit box logs from the bank. They confirmed Sophia visited 3 days ago, right after your stroke hit hard and you were comatose. She used a power of attorney document to try getting in. But here's the kicker. The signature on it? It's forged. Looks like yours. But the bank teller noted it seemed off and denied her full access. She only got a peek at the inventory list, which mentioned the lottery claim papers. Robert flipped open the folder, sliding out printed pages. "Yeah, and we matched it against your real signature from old checks you gave me to scan. Not even close if you look careful. Hers is shaky, like she practiced, but messed up the loops." I stared at the papers, my heart pounding steady now with the new meds helping. "Forged. While I out. That's fraud." "Exactly," Margaret said, her fingers flying on the keyboard. "Elder abuse territory, too, since you were vulnerable. But we dug deeper. I got access to your email account. You whispered the password yesterday. Turns out Sophia's been logging in from her IP address. We found deleted emails she tried to cover up, but they're in the trash folder still. Here, listen to this one she sent to Jason 2 days after your stroke." She read it aloud, her voice steady. Subject: "The plan. Jason, confirm the tickets in the Box 2 mill. Dad's not waking up. Once docs pull the plug for natural reasons, we claim it as inheritance. Pay off the loans, start fresh. Delete this after reading." And Jason's reply: "Smart, babe. I'll handle the debt side. Call the creditors tomorrow. Love you." Robert whistled low. Cold as ice. We printed 'em all, chain of 5 emails back and forth, plotting the claim post-mortem. Times match when she was at your house on the camera footage. I felt that mix of rage and sorrow bubble up again. But the meds kept me calm enough to think. Emails, proof intent, kill for money. Margaret nodded, closing the laptop. Building a solid case here. Forgery, unauthorized access, conspiracy for fraud. With your health stabilizing a bit, we can use this to block her from any decisions. The doctors said this morning your vitals are improving with the new dosage. Less risk of another episode. Robert leaned in, his voice dropping. We also checked her finances more. That $150,000 debt includes a personal loan she took out last month, co-signed with Jason. Motive's airtight. She needs that lottery bad. I took a deep breath, the ventilator humming along. What next? Confront? Not yet, Margaret said, tucking the prints back in the folder. We need to lock this down. I'll file for a temporary restraining order quietly, citing elder abuse evidence. That freezes any moves she makes on your assets. Harlan, you okay with me representing you officially? Whisper your yes. Yes, I said, my voice gaining a little volume. Do it. She pulled out a simple form from her bag. Good. Sign here, or rather I'll note your verbal consent with Robert as witness. Done. As she scribbled, Robert's phone buzzed. He checked it quick. Speak of the devil, Sophia's texting me. Uncle Robert, why you at hospital so much? Dad okay? She's fishing. Margaret smirked a bit. Tell her you're just supporting family. Don't tip our hand. Robert typed back, reading aloud. Just checking on Harlan, kiddo. He's hanging in. Talk soon. Sent. I watched them work, feeling like I had a real team now. She visits today. Record again. Oh yeah, Robert said, resetting the hidden phone app under my blanket. If she whispers more threats, we add it to the pile. Your health's key, too. Docs say if you keep stabilizing, maybe off the ventilator in a week. Margaret stood up, gathering her things. We're diving deep, Harlan. This evidence, logs, emails, forgery. It's enough for charges if we go public. But let's build more. I'll access her public court records next, see if there's any prior fraud stuff. I nodded, whispering. Careful. She desperate. We know, she said, patting my hand gently. Rage and sorrow, right? I get it. She was my niece, too. But this crosses lines. Robert stayed after Margaret left to make calls, flipping through the emails again. Look at this one, Harlan. Sophia wrote, "If Dad groans or something, we back off at night. But can't wait forever. Bills due, end of month." Ties right to what you heard. I groaned softly, not from pain, but frustration. My girl, twisted by him. Maybe, Robert said, but she's choosing it. We got the proof now, undeniable. The afternoon nurse came in then, checking my drip. "Mr. Harlan, you're looking better." Whispering full sentences? That's progress. "Yeah," I said, feeling stronger. She smiled and left, and Robert grinned. "See? Stabilizing. Now about those emails, we can trace the IP to her house. Margaret's on it." Later that evening, Sophia showed up alone, her face tight like she sensed something off. "Dad, how you doing? Nurses said you're improving a little." I whispered. "Better. Meds help." She sat down, glancing around. "Uncle Robert and Aunt Margaret been here a lot." "What they want? Talking about me?" "No," I said, baiting lightly. "Just family stuff." She leaned in, whispering harsh. "Better not be about money or that ticket. Jason checked. Bank won't let us in without you. If you're whispering secrets, stop. We'll fight dirty if needed." The app caught it, every word. "Why, Sophia?" I asked. "I raised you better." She laughed quiet. "Raised me poor, you mean? While hiding millions. Jason's right. We deserve it. Just let go easy." I closed my eyes, pretending fatigue. But my mind raced. More evidence, admitting the bank try. She left soon after, and Robert texted, "App uploaded." She slipped again. Fight dirty. Adding to the fraud case, Margaret called right after, Robert holding the phone. "Harlan, got the court records. Sophia has a prior misdemeanor for check fraud 5 years back. Small, but pattern. And the emails? IP confirmed from her home. We're solid on elder abuse and fraud now." "Good," I whispered. "Health holding. Keep diving." "We will," she said. "Rest up. This evidence is our weapon." As night fell, I lay there, the sorrow heavy, but the rage pushing me on. Forged papers, plotted emails, bank logs, all pointing to her betrayal. My health was stabilizing, giving me time. We'd bury her with this before she struck again. The progress I'd made with the new meds felt like a small victory. But it all came crashing down that afternoon when Sophia walked into my hospital room with a stack of papers in her hand and a smug look on her face. She didn't even bother with the usual fake concern this time. Just plopped down in the chair and waved the documents at me like they were some kind of trophy. "Dad, I had to do this for your own good," she said, her voice all business. "The doctors say you're improving a little, but you're still not right in the head, whispering nonsense about lotteries and plots. So I filed for emergency guardianship. It's official now. I'm in charge of your care and decisions until you get better. If you do." I stared at her, my heart sinking as I processed her words, the ventilator still pushing air into my lungs while my mind raced. How had she moved so fast? Robert and Margaret had warned me she was getting desperate. But this? It meant she could block them from visiting, control my treatments, even access my accounts legally. "Sophia, no," I whispered hoarsely, my voice stronger, but still weak. "Why?" "I'm getting better." She leaned forward, her eyes cold. "Because you're hallucinating, Dad. Talking about me pulling plugs and hidden money, it's the stroke talking." The judge agreed quick. "I showed them your medical reports and swore an affidavit that you're incompetent. No more Uncle Robert or Aunt Margaret stirring up trouble. I've told the nurses to limit visitors to immediate family only, me and Jason." I tried to sit up a bit, but my body wouldn't cooperate, leaving me flat on my back as panic set in. The evidence we'd gathered, the footage, emails, recordings, it was all useless if she isolated me now. "You can't," I rasped. "They're helping. Please." Sophia shook her head, tucking the papers into her purse. "Helping? They're filling your head with paranoia. Aunt Margaret hasn't been around in years, and suddenly she's here playing lawyer? No, Dad. This is for the best. I'll handle everything, your bills, your assets. That way, when you're gone, it's smooth." Her words hit like a slap, confirming she still planned to let me fade away for that lottery ticket. I whispered urgently. "Ticket, you know? Forged papers. She laughed sharply, glancing at the door. See? Delusions. There's no ticket, Dad. Rest now. I'll talk to the doctors about adjusting your meds, maybe something to help you sleep more. As she stood to leave, a nurse came in to check my monitors, and Sophia switched back to sweet mode. Nurse, my dad's guardianship is in place now. Please note no visitors without my approval, family only. The nurse nodded, jotting it down. Of course, Ms. Sophia. We'll update the chart. Sophia smiled at me one last time. Get some rest, Dad. Love you. And she was gone, leaving me alone with the beeping machines and a terror that gripped my chest tighter than the stroke ever had. The room felt smaller after that, like the walls were closing in. Robert tried to visit an hour later. I heard his voice in the hall arguing with the desk nurse. Come on, I've been here every day. Harlan's my best friend. Sorry, sir, the nurse replied firmly. Guardianship orders, only approved family. I strained to whisper loud enough, Robert, here. But the door stayed shut, and his footsteps faded away. Margaret must have tried too, because my phone buzzed under the blanket. Robert's hidden spot from before, but I couldn't reach it with my paralyzed arms. Alone and terrified, I lay there, staring at the ceiling, wondering if this was how it ended. Sophia in control, reducing my care until I slipped away, claiming the prize without a fight. That evening, Sophia returned with Jason, both of them whispering by the door before coming closer. Dad's quiet now, she said to him. Good. The guardianship blocks those two busybodies. Jason nodded, pulling up a chair. Smart move, Soph. Now we can push the docs to ease off the aggressive treatments, say it's what he would have wanted. I overheard every word, my heart racing as they discussed it like I wasn't there. Yes, Sophia agreed. I'll talk to the staff tomorrow. Reduce the meds, let nature take over. Then the ticket's ours. Jason grinned. And the debts? Gone. We start fresh. Their voices faded as they chatted about plans, vacations, new cars, all on my money. I wanted to scream, but my whispers wouldn't carry. Stop, I rasped faintly, but they ignored it, thinking it was just noise. After they left, the night nurse came in, adjusting my IV. Feeling okay, mister? Harlan? Your daughter mentioned scaling back some treatments, comfort care focus. Terror spiked through me. No, I whispered. Help. Call doctor. She paused, her brow furrowing. You're speaking clearer. I'll note it. But nothing changed that night, and by morning, I felt weaker, like the meds weren't hitting as strong. Sophia showed up early, cornering the doctor in my room, the same sympathetic one who'd been encouraging my progress. Doctor, about my dad's care, she said, her voice firm. As guardian, I think we should reduce the interventions. He's suffering, and the prognosis isn't great. Focus on palliative care. No more pushing for rehab. The doctor hesitated, glancing at me. Ms. Sophia, he's shown improvement. Whispers turning to words, vitals stabilizing. We should continue. Sophia crossed her arms. I'm in charge now. He wouldn't want to linger like this. Cut the aggressive stuff. Maybe halve the dosage on the stabilizers. I whispered desperately. No, doctor. Help. The doctor looked at me, then back at her. I'll review the chart, but ethically, if he's communicating. Just do it, Sophia snapped, or I'll file a complaint with the board. He nodded reluctantly and left, but as Sophia turned to me with a satisfied smile, I caught the doctor's eye in the hall. He lingered, watching. Rest easy, Dad, she said. This is better. Alone again, the fear consumed me. Blocked from my allies, treatments reduced, Sophia was winning. My mind raced back to the evidence hidden on Robert's phone, but without contact, it was useless. Then around noon, the doctor slipped back in alone, closing the door softly. Mr. Harlan, I overheard some things earlier. Your daughter's push for reduced care, it doesn't sit right, especially with your progress. I whispered urgently. She's trying to kill me. Lottery. Evidence. Call Margaret. My sister. He nodded, pulling out his phone discreetly. I can't interfere directly, but I can tip off family. What's her number? I rasped it out, digit by digit, from memory. Tell her, recordings, footage, counterfile. The doctor texted quick, then pocketed his phone. Done. I'll hold off on changes until I hear back. Hang in there. He left, and minutes later, my hidden phone buzzed again. I still couldn't reach it, but hope flickered. Sophia's reversal had isolated me, but this doctor was a lifeline. By evening, Margaret burst in with Robert, waving papers at the desk nurse outside. I heard the argument. We have a court filing countering the guardianship. Emergency hearing granted based on evidence of abuse. The nurse relented, and they rushed to my bedside. "Harlan," Margaret said, her face flushed. The doctor tipped me off. "We used the recordings and footage in the filings. Judge saw the threats, the forgery. Temporary block on her guardianship until the hearing." Robert squeezed my hand. "You okay?" "We were locked out all day." "Weak," I whispered. She argued reduced treatments. Margaret nodded grimly. "We know. The filing includes that, attempted harm. We're countering hard now." Relief washed over me as the doctor poked his head in. "I held the changes. Good luck." Sophia's move had backfired, giving us the ammo to fight in court. Alone and terrified earlier, now with allies back. The tide turned. But the sorrow lingered, my daughter stooping to this. Rage fueled me. We'd end it soon. The next morning, the hospital room buzzed with tension as Margaret arranged the meeting she'd been pushing for. Since the judge blocked Sophia's guardianship, she and Robert had worked through the night, pulling together all the evidence into a neat package for the authorities, and now it was time to lay it all out. I lay there in my bed, the ventilator still hooked up, but my whispers turning into clearer sentences with each passing hour, my fingers twitching enough to grip the blanket. Margaret stood by the window, her pantsuit crisp, while Robert paced near the door, ready to signal the 2 police officers waiting in the hall. "Harlan, you sure you're up for this?" Margaret asked, her voice steady, but her eyes showing the worry of a sister who'd just come back into my life. I nodded slowly. "Yes, need to end it. Face her." Robert squeezed my shoulder. "We'll be right here. The cops, too. Elder abuse charges if it sticks." The door opened then, and Sophia walked in with Jason trailing behind her. Both of them looking confused at first, then suspicious when they saw Margaret and Robert. Sophia's face hardened, her purse clutched tight. "What's this? Aunt Margaret? Uncle Robert? I thought the guardianship was still in play." "Why are you here?" Margaret stepped forward, her tone professional like the lawyer she was. "Sophia." "Jason, sit down. We're having a family meeting. Harlan requested it, and the authorities are involved now." Jason's eyes darted around. "Authorities? What the hell? Soph, you said this was just a check-in." Sophia shot him a glare and sat in the chair closest to me, her voice sharp. "Dad, what's going on? If this is about yesterday, I was just looking out for you." I looked right at her, my voice rough but firm. "No, Sophia, you weren't. Heard everything. From the start." She laughed it off, but it came out forced. "Heard what? Dad, you're still confused." "The stroke." Margaret cut in, opening her folder on the tray table. "Let's skip the games. We have evidence. Harlan overheard you whispering about the lottery ticket the night you tried to unplug his life. I'm support. Dad's gone anyway. The lottery ticket is mine now." "Ring a bell?" Sophia's face paled, and Jason shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "That's crazy. You can't prove." Robert pulled out his phone, hitting play on the first recording. My faint groan echoed, then Sophia's voice. "We can't wait any longer. The doctors say he's not coming back. Once he's gone, we file the claim. Pay off the debts." Jason jumped up. "Where'd you get that? That's private." Sophia grabbed his arm, pulling him back down. "It's edited. Fake. Dad was out cold. He couldn't hear anything." I whispered louder. "I heard. Paralyzed, not deaf. You snooped my house. Found the claim stub." Margaret slid the security camera footage printouts across the table. Stills of Sophia rifling through my desk drawers, holding up the stub with a smile. Home cams caught it all. 4 days after the stroke. And the bank logs? "You tried accessing the safe deposit box with a forged power of attorney. Signature doesn't match Harlan's." Sophia stared at the papers, her hands shaking now. I was just checking on his stuff, as his daughter. The power of attorney, Dad signed it before the stroke. "No," I said, my voice gaining strength from the anger boiling inside. "Comatose. Couldn't sign. Forged." Jason leaned forward, sweating. "Look, this is a misunderstanding. We were worried about debts, our house, the loans." But we never meant harm. Margaret kept going, relentless, then explained the emails. She read from the prints. Jason, confirm the tickets in the box 2 mil or Dad's not waking up. Once docs pull the plug for natural reasons, we claim it. And your reply. Smart, babe. I'll handle the debts. IP traces back to your home. The room went silent for a beat, Sophia's face crumbling as she realized the net closing. How did you get those? That's invasion of privacy. Robert shook his head. Harlan's email account. You logged in without permission. Deleted them, but not from trash. I looked at her, the sorrow hitting hard amid the rage. Why, Sophia? Raised you alone. After Mom died. Worked factory double shifts for you. She broke then, tears streaming down her face as she slumped in the chair. Dad, We were desperate. The debt's $150,000 from Jason's investments. We lost everything. When I found the stub while checking your house after the stroke, it seemed like a way out. I didn't mean to hurt you. Just let things happen naturally. Jason nodded frantically. Yeah, no intent to harm. Just talk. We love you, Pops. But Margaret wasn't buying it. No intent? The recordings say otherwise. She played another clip. Sophia's whisper from days ago. If you survive, I'll contest any will. Better to go peaceful. Sophia sobbed harder. Okay, I said it. But it was stress. The bills piling up. Jason pushing. I panicked. Dad, please. I'm your daughter. I felt the room erupt inside me, accusations flying in my mind. But I spoke clear. Daughter tried to kill me. For money. I sacrificed everything. No more. Robert signaled the door and the 2 officers stepped in, badges flashing. Ms. Sophia, Mr. Jason, we need to discuss this further. Evidence suggests attempted elder abuse, forgery, fraud. Jason stood up, backing toward the wall. Wait, no. This is family stuff. We can work it out. Sophia turned to me, pleading. Dad, tell them. It was a mistake. Forgive me. Like when I was a kid. Rebellious, but you always did. I shook my head, my voice steady now. No. Actions have consequences. Disown your greed. Demand justice. The officers moved closer, one reading rights while the other cuffed Jason, who protested loud. You can't do this. We didn't actually pull the plug. Sophia collapsed into sobs as they let her out. Dad, please. I love you. Margaret closed the folder, her hand on my arm. It's over, Harlan. They confessed enough. The rest is for court. Robert nodded, the room finally quiet, except for my ragged breaths. You did good, buddy. Stood up to it. I lay back, the confrontation draining me, but lifting a weight. Hurts, but needed. The officers took statements from us right there. Margaret handing over the evidence packet, footage, recordings, emails, logs. This should stick, one said. Strong case. As they left with Sophia and Jason in tow, the room erupted in a different way. Relief washing over me. My own child, broken by greed, but exposed now. The pain cut deep, but justice was coming. The hospital room felt empty after the officers took Sophia and Jason away, the echoes of her sobs still hanging in the air like a bad dream I couldn't shake. I lay there staring at the ceiling, my body still weak from the stroke, but my mind racing through everything that had just happened. The confrontation leaving me drained, yet somehow lighter. Margaret sat down next to me, her hand resting on mine as she let out a long breath. Harlan, that was tough, but it's done. The police have all the evidence now. The recordings, the footage, the emails, the forged papers. They're arresting Sophia for attempted elder abuse and forgery right this minute. And Jason's going down as an accomplice for the fraud conspiracy. I nodded slowly, my voice coming out steadier than before thanks to the meds kicking in. What happens next? The lottery money? Robert pulled up a chair on my other side, his face serious but relieved. Assets are frozen pending the investigation. No one touches that $2 million until the court's done. Margaret's already talking to the DA about pressing charges. They said it's a strong case with her confession in the room. Margaret flipped open her notebook, jotting down a few notes as she spoke. I've got a contact at the prosecutor's office from my old days. They'll push for quick processing, since you're still recovering. Sophia's looking at potential jail time, maybe 2 to 5 years if convicted, plus fines. Jason, too, especially with those debts making the motive crystal clear. But Harlan, we need to update your will now, while things are locked down. You want to make changes? I thought about it for a moment, the pain of Sophia's betrayal twisting in my chest like a knife, but I knew I had to protect what was left. Yes. Donate half to cancer research for my wife, the rest to my niece, Lisa. She's always been kind, checked on me even when Sophia didn't. Margaret smiled faintly, pulling out some forms from her bag. Lisa, your brother's daughter? Good choice. She's the one who sent cards every holiday. I'll draft it up right here, verbal consent for now, with Robert as witness. We can notarize later when you're stronger. Robert leaned in, his voice low. You sure about cutting Sophia out completely? She's family, Harlan. I shook my head, feeling the sorrow well up, but pushing it down. She tried to end my life for money. Can't trust her anymore. Make it ironclad, Margaret. She nodded and started filling in the details, reading it back to me step by step. Half to the American Cancer Society, half to Lisa Harlan, with a clause revoking any prior powers of attorney. No contest provision. If anyone challenges, they get nothing. Sound good? Yes, I said, my fingers twitching as I tried to sign. But Margaret guided my hand for a mark. Witnessed, Robert added, signing below. As she tucked the papers away, a nurse came in to check my vitals, her eyes wide from the earlier commotion. Everything okay in here, Mr. Harlan? Police were here, your daughter? I glanced at Margaret, who handled it smooth. Family matter, resolved now. He's stable, right? The nurse checked the monitors and nodded. Vitals holding strong. You're improving fast, maybe off the ventilator soon. After she left, Robert's phone buzzed with a text from his contact at the station. Update Sophia and Jason in custody. She's asking for a lawyer, denying intent again. But the confession's on tape. Bail hearing tomorrow. Margaret stood up, stretching her back. I'll be there to oppose bail, cite flight risk with the debts. Harlan, you rest. Therapy starts tomorrow. The hospital shrink wants to talk about the emotional side. I sighed, the weight of it all settling in. Yeah, hurts deep. Raised her alone. And this, Robert patted my arm. We'll get through it. You're not alone anymore. The next few days blurred into a routine of doctors and tests, my body gaining a little more movement each time. Enough to sit up with help. Margaret visited daily, updating me on the legal stuff. DA's charging Sophia with attempted elder abuse, forgery, and fraud. Jason's hit with conspiracy and accessory. Assets stay frozen, no lottery claim until after trial. I asked her one afternoon as she sat reviewing files. What about her defense? She'll fight. Margaret looked up, her expression firm. She confessed in front of witnesses, Harlan. Plus the evidence, it's overwhelming. Her prior check fraud misdemeanor? That's coming back to bite her, shows pattern. Plea deal maybe, but no walking free. Robert dropped by with coffee, joining the conversation. Heard from Lisa, she's thrilled about the will, but sad about Sophia. Wants to visit soon. I nodded, feeling a mix of peace and pain. Tell her yes. Need good family now. That evening the therapist came in, a kind woman named Dr. Ellis, pulling up a chair with her notepad. Harlan, let's talk about what happened. Your daughter. That's a big betrayal. How are you feeling? I took a deep breath, my voice steady. Angry, sad. Sacrificed everything for her after my wife died. Worked factory jobs, saved every penny. Then she turns on me for money. Dr. Ellis nodded, her tone gentle. That's valid. Betrayal from family cuts deepest. Have you thought about forgiveness? I shook my head. Not yet. Maybe someday. But she faces charges now. That's justice. We talked for an hour, her helping me unpack the memories, the good times with Sophia as a kid, the rebellious teen years, the wedding I paid for. It's okay to grieve the relationship, she said. Reconnect with others who support you. After she left, Margaret returned with more news. Court froze everything officially. No access for Sophia. Your will's filed safe now. Robert chimed in from the doorway. And Lisa's on her way tomorrow. She's bringing her kids, your great nieces. I smiled a little for the first time in days. Good. Rebuilding. Over the next week, as Sophia faced her arraignment, I heard from Margaret she pleaded not guilty, but the judge denied bail, citing the evidence. I started therapy sessions twice a day. Dr. Ellis helped me reflect on the pain, how it felt like losing my daughter all over again, but also finding peace in the justice unfolding. Lisa's here, Robert announced one morning, ushering her in with her 2 little girls, who shyly waved from the door. Lisa hugged me gently, tears in her eyes. Uncle Harlan, I'm so sorry about Sophia, but thank you for the will, for trusting me. I squeezed her hand. You're kind, always were. Help me rebuild. The girls chattered about school, lightening the room, and for a moment the sorrow lifted. Margaret joined later, updating us. Trial date set in 3 months. DA's confident confession evidence. Sophia's facing real time. Robert nodded. And Jason's turning on her, maybe testifying for a deal. I listened, the emotional fallout hitting in waves, but the therapy helped me process it. It hurts, I admitted to Dr. Ellis in our next session, but I'm finding peace. Reconnecting with Margaret, Robert, Lisa. She smiled. That's progress. You're strong, Harlan. As the days passed, my health improved enough for short walks with a walker, the ventilator gone now. Margaret helped wrap up the legal loose ends, ensuring the lottery stayed secure. Half to Charity, half to Lisa, executed perfectly. Robert brought takeout one night, and we sat talking like old times. You did it, Harlan. Exposed the betrayal, now heal. I raised my cup. To real family. The pain lingered, but peace grew. Therapy sessions grounding me as I reconnected with supportive ones. Sophia's charges loomed, her greed's fallout sealing her fate, while I looked forward, legacy protected. Months had passed since that explosive confrontation in the hospital room, and I stood in my kitchen now, brewing a pot of coffee like I used to before the stroke hit me. At 68, I'd clawed my way back through rehab, physical therapy every day, pushing my legs to walk again, my hands to grip a mug without shaking. The doctors called it a miracle, but I knew it was sheer stubbornness, fueled by the rage and sorrow that had kept me alive. The lottery funds were finally unfrozen after the trial wrapped up, and I'd cashed in that $2 million ticket, splitting it just like in my updated will. Half to cancer research in memory of my wife, half to my niece Lisa for her kindness over the years. I lived independently in my old house again. No more hospital beeps, just the quiet hum of a life rebuilt. Robert dropped by that morning, like he did most days now, carrying a box of donuts from the bakery. Harlan, you look like a new man, he said, setting the box on the counter and pulling up a stool. Rehab kicked your butt, but here you are, walking around like nothing happened. I chuckled, pouring him a cup. Felt like hell at first, Robert. Legs wouldn't move right, arms like jelly. But I pushed through. Had to, after everything. He nodded, taking a sip. Yeah, well, you earned this piece. House looks good. You fixed that leaky faucet yourself? With your help last week, I said, sitting across from him. Couldn't have done it without you. And Margaret, she's been over every weekend sorting paperwork, making sure the legal stuff sticks. Robert grinned. Speaking of, heard from the DA's office yesterday. Sophia's trial ended with a conviction. Attempted elder abuse and forgery stuck. Fraud, too. No jail time since she pleaded down. But 3 years probation, mandatory counseling twice a week, and community service. Judge ordered her to repay half those debts from her own pocket. No dipping into family assets. I stared into my coffee, the sorrow hitting me again like a wave. She got off light, but it's something. What about Jason? He leaned back, wiping sugar from his fingers. That snake? He took a deal. Testified against her on the conspiracy charge. Got probation too, but shorter, 2 years. Lost his job at that sales gig, and last I heard, Sophia kicked him out. Divorce papers filed last month. She's living in a small apartment now, working retail to make ends meet. Margaret walked in then, using the key I'd given her, her arms full of groceries she'd insisted on picking up. Harlan, Robert. Good, you're both here. I just got off the phone with Lisa. She's coming over later with the kids. I stood up slowly, taking the bags from her. Thanks, sis. Feels weird calling you that after all these years apart. She smiled, unpacking veggies into the fridge. Weird, but good. That fight over Mom and Dad's estate? Water under the bridge. Helping you through this brought us back together. Robert jumped in. Yeah, And Harlan's will is rock solid now. No way Sophia contests it. The no contest clause would cut her out completely if she tries. Margaret nodded, turning to me. You forgave her yet? From afar, like you said? I sat back down, thinking about the letter I'd written but not sent. Partway. Sent her a note through her lawyer last week. Told her I forgive the desperation, but not the actions. Said family is earned, not just blood. She wrote back, apologized, said counseling's making her see the greed's cost. Lost Jason, her fancy life, everything. Robert raised his cup. She learned hard. Years of repayment ahead. Probation hanging over her. No more schemes. I nodded, feeling a quiet peace settle in. Yeah. And me? I'm protecting my own now. No more hiding wins or scrimping alone. Lisa arrived that afternoon, her 2 girls running in ahead of her, hugging my legs like they always did. Uncle Harlan, the older one shouted. We brought drawings. I knelt down carefully, my rehab paying off, and took the papers. Look at that, a house with a big yard. Thanks, girls. Lisa hugged me tight. You look amazing, Uncle. Rehab done? Finished last week, I said, leading them to the living room. Walking independent, driving again soon. That half the lottery. Set you up good. College funds for the kids, right? She teared up a bit. Yes, and we're grateful. But more than money, it's having you back. What about Sophia? Mom told me the trial news. I sighed, sitting on the couch as the girls played with toys I'd bought. Convicted. Probation. Lost her marriage. Her easy life. She's paying for it now, literally, with those debts. Lisa nodded. Hurts to hear, but she chose it. You did right exposing her. Now you got us, real family. Margaret and Robert joined us, turning it into a little gathering. To Harlan, Robert toasted with soda, since I was off coffee by then. From hospital bed to this. Rebuilt strong. Everyone raised their glasses. To Harlan. As the afternoon wore on, we talked about the future. Me volunteering at the Cancer Center with part of the donation. Margaret planning family dinners monthly. Robert fixing up my garage into a workshop. No more loneliness, I said to them. You all helped me rebuild. True friends, true family. Lisa smiled. And the girls love their great uncle. We'll visit every weekend. By evening, as they left, I stood on the porch watching the sun set, feeling independent and secure for the first time in years. The lottery funds meant no more factory grind, just peace. Sophia's consequences, probation, counseling, repayment, lost marriage, taught her greed's price. And though I forgave from afar, I protected my peace by keeping distance. Family wasn't blood anymore. It was actions, loyalty, the people here now. Ella stopped by the next day for our final therapy session, sitting in the living room with her notepad. Harlan, you've come far emotionally, too. Reflecting on the pain, how's it feel now? I leaned back in my chair. Still hurts, thinking about Sophia as a kid, all those sacrifices. But peace is winning. Therapy helped unpack it, rage fading, sorrow manageable. She nodded. And reconnecting? With Margaret, Robert, Lisa? Best part, I said. Dinners, visits, plans. They're my support now. Dr. Ellis closed her book. You're done here. Keep building that life. After she left, Robert called. Harlan, fancy a fishing trip next week? Margaret's in, too. I laughed. Count me in. No more holding back. Hanging up, I walked to the safe where the cash ticket papers sat, secure and split as planned. Sophia's path was her own now. Convicted, repaying, learning alone. Me? I had independence, funds, and real bonds. Family earned through actions, not blood. Sometimes what we need isn't advice, but someone to stand by us and say, that's enough. If this story brings you even a little relief, drop a comment down below, telling me where you're watching from and what time it is for you, right? Now, I read every line, and I make these videos to remind you, you are not alone. On screen right now, you'll see 2 new stories I think you'll really enjoy. There are many more waiting for you on the channel, so don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss one. See you in the next story. Until then, take care of yourself and the people you love. With all my love and respect.